So, you have made it. The kids are all dressed and pressed. The Easter food is cooking or ready. The Easter bunny has already come or is gonna be there. It's kind of an Easter church family reunion around here. Folks come from all over the country, all over the world, 3 generations, sometimes 4, to sit together in Easter worship. It's an amazing day. So my question to you today is, who are you looking for? Who are you looking for? Or my English teachers out there would have me say, whom are you looking for when you come to worship on Easter? Are you looking to see folks you haven't seen since the last big church family reunion here on Christmas Eve? You families may be sitting in the same pew you sat in to be here for Grandma on Christmas Eve. You're doing it on Easter. Or are you looking for that cousin who promised Grandma and you that she would be here, but she hasn't shown up yet? She said, if you'll go, I'll go, and she'd better make it by that next hymn or you're going to eat all her deviled eggs today at dinner. See, that's what Jesus asked Mary Magdalene when she came out of the empty tomb and thought he was the gardener. He said, who are you looking for? On this Easter 2019, who are you looking for? Are you looking for Jesus, the teacher? One commentator says Easter starts with fear. Mary came while it was still dark in the morning, carrying the stuff she was going to need to clean and prepare a dead body for burial. And it scared her to death that the stone had been rolled away when she got there. It scared her so much she dropped all that stuff and turned and ran to where the disciples were. She thought the worst. She thought somebody had stolen Jesus' body. So here's my question. When she got there, why did only 2 of the disciples come when she told them? Were there only 2 there? Did they draw the short straw? Peter and the beloved disciple raced to the tomb, and the beloved disciple won. He got there first, like I talked about with the kids. For years, I have preached that this must have been John. But lately, I've been thinking that the theory that the beloved disciple must have been Lazarus sounds more true. Sounds pretty good to me. That would explain why, even though he got there first, he did not go into the tomb. He had just been raised from a tomb himself, and I imagine the whole scene freaked him out. The cave, the dark, the smell. No way he was going back into that space so soon. Anyway, if we're looking for Jesus today, are we also starting the day off in fear? Fear of the unknown, fear that it's not true, all this resurrection stuff. But I'm here to tell you that there are all kinds of resurrections. Physical bodily resurrections and also spiritual resurrections. Maybe you're looking for a spiritual resurrection today. It's easy to celebrate the resurrection of the body on this glorious Easter Sunday, but what about the resurrection of your spirit? What about tomorrow morning when the alarm clock goes off at 6 a.m. and your spirits are sunk? Where's the resurrection then? Where's the resurrection when we work night and day in a thankless job and find ourselves just deeper in debt? Where's the resurrection when our child gets caught in an ugly cycle of drugs and alcohol and we watch them slowly slip away into a ghost-like existence? Where's the resurrection when after working 40 years we realize we could lose our home? Where's the resurrection when we wake up one morning and realize just nothing matters to us anymore? Where's the resurrection when at the end of life our family and friends are all gone and we're left alone to negotiate in a world that does not honor its older ones? Where's the resurrection then? It's not just resurrection after death we're talking about here. it's a resurrection during life. There's an old saying that says the only difference between a grave and a rut is the dimensions. It's a folksy way of saying the resurrection is not just for afterlife, it's also for life here and now. Don't get in a rut and miss the impact of the resurrection, its power for living these days now. The editors of a website called Patheos.com invited a dozen bloggers to share their reflections on why we need the resurrection. Blogger Kara Root said, "I need the resurrection because my sister is sick and I can't afford insurance." Another one said, "I need the resurrection because I've told a weeping Haitian mom that no, I can't take your son home with me." Another said, "I need the resurrection because I've been rushed off of Jerusalem street so a robot could come and blow up a bag that could have blown us all up." Or how about this one? "I need the resurrection because I have exploded in rage and watched my children's tiny faces cloud over with hurt." Or "I need a resurrection because evil is pervasive around me and I participate in it." Or "I need the resurrection because it promises that in the end of all things, all wrongs will be made right. Death loses, hope triumphs, life and love prevail." So why do you need a resurrection today? Is there something that has died inside of you? And it's only with God's help that part of you is going to see the light of day ever again? Because I believe that even though Easter starts with fear, it ends with running and rejoicing. Because after Jesus asked Mary who she'd been looking for, Jesus says her name. Then and only then does she recognize him. Because she came looking for a dead body, and he's standing there alive, talking to her. And it took a little while for her brain and her soul to catch up with what her ears and her eyes were telling her. And she grabs him and screams, "It's you, Rabboni." I like the story of a first-year Catholic seminary student who was told by his dean that he should plan to preach the sermon in chapel the next day. He had never preached a sermon before. He was nervous. He was scared. He stayed up all night. But in the morning, he still didn't have a sermon. So he stood in the pulpit and looked out at his classmates and he said, "Do you know what I'm going to say today?" And all of them shook their heads no. And he said, "Neither do I. The service is ended. Go in peace." The dean was not happy. He said, "I'll give you another chance tomorrow and you better have a sermon." And again, he stayed up all night. Again, he couldn't come up with a sermon. So the next morning he stood in the pulpit and he said, "Do you know what I'm going to say?" And all the students nodded their head, "Yes, yes, we do." He said, "Then there's no reason to say it out loud. The service is ended. Go in peace." Now the dean was really angry. He said, "I'll give you one more chance. If you don't have a sermon tomorrow, you'll be asked to leave the seminary." So again, the sermon didn't come that night. And he stood in the pulpit the next day. He says, "Do you know what I'm going to say?" And half the students said yes. And half the students shook their heads no. So the student preacher announced, "Those who know, tell those who don't know. The service is ended. Go in peace." And the seminary dean walked up to him afterwards, put his arm around his shoulders and said, "Those who know, tell those who don't know. That's genius. Today the gospel has been proclaimed." So here's the deal. This is how it happens. This is how we get the rest of the world to believe in the resurrection. Those who know, tell those who don't know. See, your friends and your family should come to believe in the resurrection because they've seen how much you have changed because of the transforming love of God. They will believe because they've seen how you used to be a real jerk, angry, moody, negativity, and disgust overflowing all over those around you. That kind of guy, that kind of gal. And now you're a kind, happy, encouraging, compassionate, gentle servant. Or at least two of those. See, somebody showed you what the overwhelming, unconditional love of God was like, and you decided to climb out of that rut you've been living in and try a new path. So folks, now look at us and shake their heads and say, man, there has got to be a God, because you have been resurrected, dude. You're not the same as you were before. So the Easter story ends the same as it does now. Jesus tells Mary and us to go and tell our brothers and sisters. So we do what Mary did. We run out of here because we're so excited, and we do the same thing she did to the world. By the way we live this week, we say, I have seen the Lord. He is alive, and he lives in me. Our voices and our actions tell the world he is resurrected. And so are we. And God's kingdom will happen right where we are. Amen.